Good morning students. Today we will start a new chapter in geography, which is chapter number 11, importance of human resources. So as you know that human resource is the most important resource that we have. And why is that? Because humans are the ones who have knowledge, they have intellect, and they also have skills. And using these things, which is skill, knowledge and intellect, they can transform different objects, different resources into products. They can transform the natural resources into valuable products, right? And human is also having brain power. It also has brain power, and using that brain power, his intelligence and will, he observes his surroundings. He observes the surroundings and he thinks and plans and acts accordingly. Because he has brain, he thinks, he acts and plans accordingly, and he transforms the environment into an economic store. He makes the environment, the resources which he has in the environment and the environment that has been there naturally, he transforms it according to his plan. He makes it in such a way that improves his life, that makes his life easier, that makes his day-to-day tasks easier. We have built the road so that we can travel daily, right? So we are human beings and we can transform the resources around us so that those resources become useful to us. We can transform the environment around us so that it becomes useful to us. So that is why we can say that human beings play not only the role of producer but also the consumer. We are making the environment, we are building the roads, we are making different products such as chips, and we are also making buildings, infrastructure, right? And we are also building up the country as a whole. And we are also the consumers. And we are also the ultimate consumers who reap the benefits of all the things that we build in our environment. We build our country, and the benefits of that we reap ourselves. All the benefits of the roads and infrastructure and airways and schools and medical institutes and hospitals, all of the benefits of these resources, all of the benefits of these things that we build in our environment. Who is getting the benefit from it? We human beings. So we are consumers also. Because we are reaping the benefits, we are enjoying the benefits of transforming the resources which were there in the environment. We first transformed the resources, that is why we were the producers, and then we enjoyed the benefits of it. That is why we were the consumers. See, we will discuss about the composition of the population. You know, we have many people in our country. But what is the composition of the people? What age group do they belong to? What is the gender that they have? And which gender is more in number? Is it females or is it males? Right? What is the age composition? Which age group is more in our country? Number of people belonging to different age groups. Which age groups have the most number of people? Then we will also discuss about the literacy rate, that is how many people are educated in our country. The topography, which is the different landforms that our earth has. How does the different landforms such as the plateaus, the plains, the mountains affect the decision of human settlement? People decide whether to live in these areas or not depending upon the landforms that these areas have. Whether there is a mountain, whether there is a plain, or whether there is, a plateau or a river. So all these landforms decide whether the people will live in a particular area or not, or where will they be more concentrated. So as you know that human beings are different in many aspects, such as some people have greater skills, some have greater knowledge, and some have more resources in their environment. So the people who have both of the things, that is the availability of resource and the availability of knowledge and skill, are the ones who develop their countries. And those countries are the ones who remain ahead of time, who get more developed earlier, such as Russia, such as UK, such as China. These are the countries who had both intelligent people and resources. They know how to exploit the resources, and that is why their country developed much earlier than our country. India, which is still a developing country. We have the resources, but we do not know how to exploit those resources. So that is why some countries have more population. They have more population and also the skills. They also have the skills and knowledge to exploit the resources. So it is not important for a country to have a lot of population. It is not important for a country to have a lot of population. Rather, it is important for it to have intelligent population, who has skills, who has knowledge, who can exploit the resources. The quality of the people also determines the progress of a country. The quality of the people also determines the value of the population. Whether the population is of value to the country or not. There can be hundreds and thousands of people in a country, but if they are illiterate, if they do not have the skills, the knowledge, then the country will be far behind the times. It will not get developed if it does not have skilled and intelligent people. Let's see the sex ratio. What is sex ratio? Number of females per 1,000 males is called as sex ratio. Number of females per 1,000 males. So if there are 10 females in a number of 1,000 males, then the ratio is 10 upon 1,000. What is the ratio? It is 10 upon 1,000 if there are 10 females and 1,000 males. So this is an example of sex ratio. Sex ratio determines number of females per 1,000 males. And what is the age composition? Age composition is the proportion of labor force in total population. How much is the labor force? How many are the working people in the total population? Determines the age composition. It determines the age composition. Okay? If the sex ratio goes down, what does it mean? That the number at the numerator has gone down. And what was the numerator? The numerator was the number of females. So the number of females had gone down. What does it indicate? It indicates the gender discrimination. That the people of India are involved in female infanticide. They are not letting the girl child born. That is why the number of females are declining per 1,000 males. So it indicates the gender discrimination of the country. And it also brings down the progress of the country. Then see the age composition. The proportion of labor force in total population determines the age composition. For example, according to the age, the population of a country can be divided into 3 broad categories. And what are these categories? The first one is 0 to 14 years, then 15 to 64 years, then 65 plus years. The 0 to 14 years age group is called as child population. It represents the child population of the country, the number of child which are there in the country. And the child population is the one which is dependent on the working population. It is dependent on other people, the parents. The child population is dependent on the parents. They do not contribute directly to the development of the country and economic development of the country. Rather, they are dependent on their parents. They are dependent on the working population. So let us see the next one. 15 to 64 years is called the working population or workforce. These are the ones who contribute maximum to the development of the country. And the workforce or the working population is the most productive population of the country. It is the most productive population because it contributes the maximum to the development of the country. It contributes towards the development of the country as well as all the production which is taking place in the country is because of the working population. Because they are involved in industries, they are involved in companies, they are working there, and that is why they are involved in the production process. Next one is the 65 plus age group. The people who are 65 years or old. The people who are of 65 years of age or more. This age group represents the old age population. It represents the old people of the country. And these people are also dependent on their children. Old people are also dependent on their children. That is why this population is also dependent. Then the people of the country can be living in the cities or they can also be living in the villages. When they are living in cities and towns, they are called as urban population. And when they are living in the villages, then it is called a rural population. So if the urban population is more than the rural population, what does it indicate? It indicates that the country is developed. Because more people are now living in developed areas. In areas which have urban population. More and more people are living in the cities, which have metros, which have buildings, which have malls, which have hospitals and schools, which have all the facilities. The economy of the country is dependent more on the different industries of the country. That is why it indicates that the country is developed. If urban population is more in the country, more and more people are living in the cities, it indicates that the country is developed. What if more and more people are living in the rural areas? It means that a major portion of the population is still dependent on agriculture. The main occupation of the country, the people of the country is still agriculture or farming. That is why the country is still in developing stage. It is a developing country. So if the urban population is less than the rural population, it indicates that the country is still developing because agriculture is still the main occupation of the people. Development has not taken place. There are no hospitals, buildings, schools, malls, metros, trains, railway systems. There is nothing. They are dependent upon agriculture. That is why it is a developing country. The percentage of the population of a given age group that can read and write is known as literacy rate. So what is literacy rate? A literacy rate means the number of people of a given age group, that can read and write. For example, the age group of 0 to 14 years. And the number of people who can read or write in the age group of 0 to 14 years would mean the literacy rate of this age group. It would mean the literacy rate of this age group. What is the literacy rate of this age group? It means the number of people in the age group of 0 to 14 years who can read or write. You know, USA, France and Japan are some examples of the countries who have literacy rate as high as 99%. The literacy rate of these countries is as high as 99%. And what are the countries? These are USA, France and Japan. These countries have literacy rate of more than 99%. Then see on page 207, there is the topic factors influencing population distribution. So the way in which people are spread across Earth's surface, the way in which people are spread across the Earth's surface is called as pattern of population. Then see the next one. The way people are spread across the Earth's surface is called the pattern of population. You know, the people consider certain factors before deciding what places they want to live in. And what are the factors that determine whether they want to live in a particular area or not? These are the climate of the environment, as well as the different landforms of the environment, what the landforms are there in the environment, and the type of soil of the area, whether it is fertile or not, and the water, and the availability of resource, and the size of the country, and the geographical location. So let us discuss these factors one by one. The first one is the climate. If the climate of the environment is suitable for agriculture, then more and more people will be living in that area, because they can grow crops over there. That is why, if the climate is good, favorable, there is more and more of rain. The climate is such that there is more rain. The climate is such that the environment is pleasant for the working condition of the farmers and the growing of the crops. And the people would live in that area because the climate is favorable for agriculture. And also for industrial development. If the weather is not fine, then how will the production process will take place in the industries? How will people reach the factories? So the climate also determines the industrial development as well as the agricultural processes. And the areas which have a moderate climate, it is not very hot and not very cold. Neither very hot nor very cold. That is, extreme temperatures are not there in the area, then it is more favored by human settlement. It is more favored for human settlement. Then how does the topography or the landforms affect the decision? Then how does the landforms or topography affect the decision of human settlement? The mountain areas which have rugged topography, which is very rough for the human settlement. People cannot build houses over there. They cannot do farming on the land. The soil is also poor because the mountain areas are quite rough and very rocky. That is why people would not prefer to stay in the mountainous areas. They would not prefer to live in the mountainous areas. But the areas where they can do mining and they can grow agricultural crops, they will also consider this factor of mining and growing of agricultural crops, and that is why more and more of industries will be set up there. Industries such as the coal industry, iron and steel industry can be set up in the areas which have mines, from which different minerals such as the iron and coal can be extracted. More and more industries will be set up in that area. And since the ancient times, plains have been the most favorable place for human settlement. Plains have been the most favorable place for human settlement. Why is that? Because of the fertile soil of that area. Plains have very fertile soil, which is very suitable for settlement. It is suitable for growing of crops. It is suitable for the grazing of animals in the pasture lands. That is why plains have been, since the ancient times, the most favorable place for human settlement. Then how does the soil affect? The decision? Agriculture is the main occupation in developing countries such as India. India has agriculture as the main occupation. So the places which have very fertile soil will be more densely populated. More and more of the population will settle in the areas which have fertile land where they can grow their crops and do farming. Because India is a developing country and agriculture is the main occupation of our country, the people will prefer to live in the areas where they can do farming and grow their crops and raise their cattle. Some examples of the places which have more and more fertile soil in India are Ganga-Brahmaputra Basin and the Nile Valley. Some examples are Ganga-Brahmaputra Basin and Nile Valley. These are the areas which have a lot of agricultural fields and fertile soil. Then see how water affects the decision of human settlement. And water is required for different needs, such as in bathing we use water, in irrigating the fields we need in water in agriculture, and for industrial production, for the washing up of the factories, and in the different processes of factories such as the cooling of machinery, we require water. And for domestic needs, we also need water for daily consumption. So the areas which have more water will be preferred by human settlement. And what are these areas? Some examples in India are UP and West Bengal. UP and West Bengal are the areas which have a lot of tributaries of Ganga and Brahmaputra. That is why UP and West Bengal are the areas which are densely populated because of the availability of water in the rivers, which is coming from the rivers. That is why UP and West Bengal are more densely populated. Punjab and Haryana is also called as the land of 5 rivers. There are 5 rivers flowing from Punjab and Haryana. That is why it is also densely populated. USA is also a center of industrial development, and towns and cities are also there. And why is that? Because of the Great Lakes. USA has Great Lakes, and that is why the places around the Great Lakes are densely populated by people. They are densely populated by the people. People get occupy these lands around the Great Lakes in the USA because of availability of water. Then in deserts also there are oases or small pools of water in the deserts. These are also the places where people make their settlements, because water is a very essential resource for the people of desert. The availability of water is very scarce in the desert. That is why it is also an important factor of human settlement for the desert people. Then see that availability of resource. How does the availability of resource affect the human settlement? If there are different minerals and power can be generated in the area, such as the wind energy and the hydroelectricity can be generated, and there is coal mines from which electricity can be generated, from which heat can be generated for their use in the factories, in different industrial processes, then these will be preferred by the people for industrial development. These areas will be preferred by businesses for industrial development, for setting up of industries, because they have mines from which coals can be extracted, because there is water resources, because rivers are flowing which have rich minerals in them which can be extracted for the use in the industries. That is why availability of resources is also an important factor which determines human settlement. Some examples are Ruhr industrial belt in Germany, it is rich in minerals. Iron and steel industry in Chota Nagpur Crater of India. Chota Nagpur Crater of India has coal mines. It has coal and iron mines. So that is why it is also preferred for human settlement and setting up of industries. The gold mines of Western Australia, and oil wells in Arabian Peninsula. Arabian Peninsula has oil wells, that is why it is also preferred for human settlement. Then see the next topic, size of the country. You know, if there is a lot of land in the country, there is a lot of land and the population is also more, then it will be fine. The people will settle in the places which are less densely populated, where there is still space left in the land. But if there is lesser land in the country, the surface area of the land is less in the country, then what will happen? If there is an increase in the population, more people will gather in small areas of land, and there will be problems of slums, and people will get diseases, right? They will get packed tightly in small areas of land. They will build their homes there, which will lead to the spread of diseases, right? For example, you can see in the COVID situation what happened. We were asked to do social distancing, and what if we had a very small country and there were a lot of people in our country? What would happen? We would be forced to live closely to each other. And that is why more and more diseases will be spread. COVID would have occupied the whole population of the country in a very short period of time. That is why it is also important for the country to not be overpopulated. The country should not be overpopulated. It should have sufficient land according to the population of the country. Then how does the geographical location affect the decision? If an area is well connected with the rest of the world, the resources can be imported to that area, and also the finished goods which are produced in the factories and the industries can be exported to different parts of the world. It can be exported throughout the country as well, because the area is well connected by roadways, airways and waterways. That is why the finished products as well as the raw materials can come and go out from the area easily. So it will be preferred by the people for settlement and setting up of industries. The people will also get more and more work opportunities over there. If a city has a lot of companies, then people will be employed in those companies. And that is why you will also consider moving in an urban area which has a lot of companies. That is why people will prefer to live in an urban area, because they will get work opportunity over there. They will get work opportunity in the companies which are there in the urban areas. So geographical location is also an important factor in determining the population of the country. Also an important factor in determining the concentration of the human population in the area. That is the human settlement.